The first thing I would like to do here on the Arcology Group YouTube channel is to explain some of the concepts of the Arcology Group. Perhaps the most significant concept of the Arcology Group is that of flora and fauna. Flora meaning plants and fauna animals. So now as we go further into the idea of superorganism, as we conceive of the human body and any individual creature's body as being a superorganism of a sort, we can have a lot more conversation about that. That will include not only animals and plants that we may be digesting, ourselves as an animal, and humans are, but also the bacteria and funguses, etc. We're going to have to conceive of all of those, all the kingdoms of life, viruses, etc., to come to a comprehensive solution to our inputs and outputs and how we determine whether we are healthy during the day. Again, as individuals and as a group if we have more than one person living in any particular building. So flora and fauna are going to be basically the idea that you bring plants indoors, you bring animals indoors, you live amongst plants and animals in an ecosystem. Now, what is most prevalent on people's mind when thinking of environmentalism, if it's not the boogeyman of climate change, which I'll get into another time, probably most people have heard of endangered species list. So, what is one way to protect an endangered species? To go to their habitat where they live currently, and through some series of steps and through some series of checks and balances, ensure that they have their original habitat intact with the correct prey and predator food webs not being disturbed out of equilibrium so that their numbers do not dwindle and that they don't go extinct. What is another way of doing it is to bring some number of those animals in to breed indoors or in captivity, or as you like. I don't think of it as captivity if you think of it more of the nicest vacation home someone could have. If a human lives there and a plant or animal lives there, I don't think people complain too much about the animal living there, considering it is also the same home of the human. So if the human can live there, it's good enough quality for the human, it should be good enough quality for the animal or plant. So we're bringing the species from the native environment outside into the arcology, into the building with the human beings. I call that concept flora and fauna. So again, as to the idea of the endangered species, I'm looking out the window here. I'm in Kentucky, and from my window here, I just moved here with my family. I can see a dog sitting out in the yard, and there's a big old green pasture where later some cows may come up and graze, as I've seen here before when we visited. So there's flora and fauna all around us, and whether it's domestication of cattle or dogs and cats, it's already in human nature, certainly not a foreign subject, that we would bring flora and fauna, houseplants. I see a fern right there. We bring plants and animals into our life. And that's going to be one of the main concepts of the arcology, is that as a living ecosystem, it's not humans divorced from the world, but instead we're trying to bring the world into the building into the world, so that it breathes, the plants and the animals and the humans all breathing together in one ecosystem, one environment that is a built environment, the arcology, what you might call the quintessential 21st century building, is going to be the arcology. Again, just in case you missed it, arcology is a term coined by Paolo Soleri, an architect and a visionary, and it is a portmanteau or a combination of words of architecture and ecology, arcology. And I also like to think of Noah's Ark as a place where we bring the animals in, make sure that they're safe, and that helps to ensure our safety. You may also remember from the Bible story that humans were granted the right to eat meat directly after they were saved from the flood, just as an aside. In regards to the endangered species, If they live in a habitat that is facing pressures outside, we'd want to create what I call a habitat analog inside, which does not necessarily mean all indoors with a roof, but within the structure of the arcology, within the building of the arcology, we would create a habitat analog of an environment in native Earth where endangered species exist. Of course, it doesn't have to be an endangered species, but that's going to draw a lot of attention if we could definitely secure some set of species of plants and animals and other organisms within the arcology. That would be not only great for the environment, but also be popular, maybe even a tourist destination. Each arcology could determine this on their own. So that's the first concept I'd like to cover here. What is the arcology group? It includes the concept of flora and fauna. My name is Jesse Ryan Jensen. Thank you very much for tuning in.